What if I told you that within your suffering lies a sacred fire, not to be extinguished but transmuted? That pain, chaos, and adversity are not enemies, but raw elements for inner transformation. The ancient Stoics whispered of it. The alchemists etched it in coded glyphs and veiled metaphors, and somewhere between philosophy and magic lies the forgotten art of Stoic alchemy. In a world obsessed with distraction and ease, we've lost sight of a powerful truth, that our struggles are not curses but initiations. Today we begin a journey not into fantasy, but into a path carved by sages and mystics alike, a practical, sacred science of the soul. This is not the Stoicism of motivational quotes or cold rationalism, nor is it the alchemy of gold and lead alone. What we will uncover is older, subtler, and far more dangerous. Because true transformation means facing yourself as you are and forging something higher from it. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. But what does it mean to turn adversity into virtue? What is the philosopher's stone of the inner world? In this episode, we'll trace the lineage of this hidden art, from the Stoic emperors of Rome to the silent monasteries of alchemical mystics. We'll discover how the Stoic principle of amor fati, love of fate, becomes a kind of divine fire in the crucible of the self. We'll explore why the ancient Stoics were not merely thinkers but soul forgers, and most importantly, you'll learn how to begin, how to walk this path in your daily life, not as a concept, but as a living practice. Alchemy is not about turning lead into gold. It is about turning the self into soul. Are you ready to remember what your soul already knows? Welcome to the first steps of Stoic alchemy. Long before the modern world was even imagined, two rivers of wisdom ran parallel, one through the marble colonnades of Rome and the other through the smoky chambers of alchemical labs in Alexandria, Egypt. At first glance, Stoicism and alchemy seem worlds apart. One, a philosophy of rational resilience; the other, a mystical science cloaked in symbols, dragons, and cryptic instructions. But beneath the surface, a secret union. The Stoics, like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, did not seek escape from suffering. They sought mastery through it. They taught that the soul is tested and purified through the fires of life, that adversity is not an obstacle, but a necessary trial, a kind of divine metallurgy of character. Meanwhile, the alchemists spoke of nigredo, the dark night, the decomposition of the old self. Then came albedo, purification, and finally rubedo, the reddening, the full embodiment of the philosopher's stone. Now listen closely. What the Stoics called virtue, the alchemists called gold. As within, so without. As above, so below. Emerald tablet, 3rd century BCE. This was not metaphor, it was instruction. The Stoics believed in logos, the divine order, the intelligent fire that moves the cosmos. The alchemists believed in anima mundi, the soul of the world, hidden in all things. Both taught that the key to power lies not in controlling the world, but in mastering oneself. This is the secret history. Stoicism was never meant to be cold, and alchemy was never just about metal. Both paths, in their pure form, are blueprints for inner alchemy. One speaks with the clarity of the philosopher, the other in the riddles of the mystic. Together, they offer a complete system for transmuting suffering into sovereignty. But why was this union forgotten? Because it is dangerous. To teach the masses that pain can be transformed into wisdom. To show that the true philosopher's stone is forged in the soul. That gives power to the individual. Not the priest, not the state, not the system. And so over time, Stoicism was diluted, reduced to self-help mantras and emotionless strength. Alchemy was distorted, dismissed as superstition, or twisted into material greed. Yet the original flame survives, in rare texts, in whispers between lines, in you if you remember how to look. What we explore next is not new. It is the remembering of a path that always existed. And so we continue into the core of this sacred practice. How do we actually begin the work of Stoic alchemy? What does it mean to transmute emotion into virtue, chaos into order, lead into gold, not in the lab, but in the furnace of your own heart? To begin the path of Stoic alchemy is not to seek comfort. It is to enter the furnace willingly. It starts not with changing the world, but with transforming your perception of it. The Stoics taught this first principle. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Epictetus' alchemy whispers the same in different language. The lead you fear is your own shadow. The gold you seek is buried within it, so what is the lead we must transmute? Fear, anger, envy, pride, grief. These are not weaknesses. They are unrefined materials. The Stoic alchemist does not suppress these emotions, nor indulge them. Instead, they observe, contain, and burn them in the vessel of awareness. Think of your consciousness as an ancient alembic, the glass chamber used by alchemists to distill volatile substances. When a painful experience arises, you do not act impulsively. You seal it inside. You hold it. The modern mind reacts. The Stoic alchemist reflects. Imagine for a moment a man insulted in public. The ordinary response: rage, defense, retaliation. But the Stoic alchemist pauses. He asks, why does this cut me? What part of me is wounded? Is it my pride? My insecurity? My illusion of control? And in that inquiry, he begins the transmutation. The insult becomes a mirror. The mirror reveals the ego. The ego, seen clearly, begins to dissolve. This is the work of nigredo, the blackening, the breaking down of false self. It is uncomfortable, humbling, sacred. The Stoics called this process ascesis, a spiritual discipline, not punishment but purification. They understood that just as the alchemist must endure the smoke and heat, the seeker must face the unfiltered truth of who they are, not who they pretend to be. Now pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what emotional lead am I carrying right now? Is it bitterness toward someone? Shame from your past? The craving to be seen, to be praised? Write it down, not to shame yourself, but to see it, because what is seen can be transformed. The next phase is containment, a lost art in modern life. You do not scream your emotions into the void. You do not suppress them beneath a smile. You hold them like a sacred fire. This is not repression. It is alchemy. The Stoics used journaling, solitude, daily reflection. They sat with their own flaws like old companions, not judging, not fleeing, understanding. In doing so, something miraculous begins. The grief reveals compassion. The anger reveals a thirst for justice. The fear reveals untapped courage. And that is the gold. But this is only the first chamber. The real transmutation, the spiritual albedo, begins when we choose to act not from the old wounds, but from the virtues born through them. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus' self-mastery is not about control, it's about clarity. The ability to choose your response, not be ruled by reaction. This is the first task of the Stoic alchemist, to face the raw lead of emotion, to hold it in the crucible of awareness, to transmute it through reflection, and to extract from it the purified gold of virtue. In our next phase, we go deeper. We will explore the paradoxes, the hidden symbols, the misunderstood truths, and begin to unveil the soul's deeper alchemical processes. The fire has been lit. Are you ready to walk into it? Now, we enter the second chamber. If the first step of Stoic alchemy is self-awareness and containment, the second is paradox. To become whole, you must embrace what was once rejected. To become strong, you must bow to your own vulnerability. To become free, you must die to who you think you are. This is where the mystics and Stoics meet. This is the domain of antidotes hidden in poison, the realm of sacred contradiction. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius. The Stoic alchemist begins to realize something unsettling yet liberating, that adversity is not just fuel for growth, it is the very mechanism of transformation, and that the moments you most wish to escape are the gateways to awakening. Let us go deeper. The ancient alchemists described the process of solve et coagula, dissolve and recombine. Break down the false, then reconstruct the true. When Seneca writes of being shipwrecked, when Epictetus, once a slave, speaks of freedom, they are not merely enduring suffering. They are using it to dissolve the illusions of ego, control, and permanence. Just as fire separates gold from dross, the soul's trials reveal what is essential. And here is the paradox. That which hurts you may also be healing you. The Stoic alchemist learns to trust the fire, not blindly, but deeply. They understand the hidden logos, the divine logic that moves behind apparent chaos. Imagine a storm tearing through your life, the loss of a job, a betrayal, a failure. To the reactive mind, it is disaster. To the alchemist, it is instruction. What is collapsing may be what was never true to begin with. This is not romantic suffering. This is purposeful purification. Alchemy without fire is impossible. Now we approach one of the most guarded truths of this path. The philosopher's stone is not a physical object. It is a state of being. It is the unshakable self that remains when all else has been burned away. The Stoics called it ataraxia, inner tranquility. The alchemists, lapis philosophorum, the perfected essence. When the soul is purified by reason and detached from external circumstance, it shines with a light no misfortune can dim. This light, this essence, is what we are refining. You don't find the stone, you become it. But beware, this path is not without illusion. Some mistake suppression for transformation. Others seek mystical escape, abandoning the world in the name of transcendence. But Stoic alchemy is embodied. It is lived in the dust, the noise, the traffic, the tension between emails and the awkward conversations and silent battles of the heart. This is where the true alchemical fire lives, not in retreat, but in presence. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. The stone is not found at the end of the journey. It is uncovered each time you choose awareness over reaction, clarity over confusion, virtue over comfort. This is the advanced art, to remain serene in chaos. To wield gentleness as strength, to know pain or and offer gratitude, because the greatest magic is not in changing the world, it is in changing the way you see it. And so we stand now, not at the end, but at the beginning of true practice. In the next section, we will move from insight to action, from metaphor to ritual, from philosophy to daily alchemy. You've heard the philosophy. You've glimpsed the hidden truth. But now, the fire must leave the scroll and enter your bones. This is where Stoic alchemy begins to breathe, because the philosopher's stone is not summoned through theory, it is revealed through practice. So how do we apply this in the real world? Let me give you the sacred blueprint, distilled into 3 practical rituals, each rooted in ancient wisdom, each tested in the crucible of daily life. 1. The fire ritual, transmutation. Through awareness, every day the world will hand you lead in the form of irritation, failure, shame, or discomfort. Do not run. Do not react. Instead, ritualize your response. When something triggers you, stop, breathe. Name the emotion aloud or in writing. This is anger. This is fear. This is attachment. Then ask the alchemist's question. What is this here to refine in me? Write it down, even one sentence. Over time, you'll see the map of your soul's transformation. You are no longer a victim of emotion. You are its smith. The morning mirror. Intentional framing of the day each morning. Before your phone, before the noise. Perform a Stoic invocation. Stand before a mirror. Gaze into your own eyes. Speak aloud or silently. I do not control the world, but I control how I meet it. Today, I choose wisdom over impulse, presence over panic, gold over lead. This simple act anchors you to your sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal each morning, reminding himself that adversity would come and that he would be ready. Do the same. Even 2 minutes will change the tone of your entire day. The evening crucible, reflection and distillation, at day's end, return to the alembic. In a journal, reflect on 3 moments. One where you reacted poorly. One where you chose awareness. One lesson that revealed itself. No shame. No judgment. Only refinement. Seneca called this evening accounting, an inventory of the soul. In alchemical language, this is distillation, the separating of essence from residue. You are pulling wisdom from experience, like drawing gold from the ash. Now in 3 tools to carry with you: a small notebook, your modern grimoire, a mantra. Perception is the lens, virtue is the flame. A question: what is the highest version of myself in this moment? Use them when the fire rises, but be warned. There will be days when you forget, when emotion overtakes you, when old patterns return. This is not failure. This is the dark phase of the work. Nigredo revisited. Return. Reflect. Reignite. The Stoic alchemist is not perfect. They are persistent. Their temple is built not in marble but in moments, one choice at a time. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, and through repetition, ritual, and remembrance, and your thoughts become clear, your reactions become refined, your life becomes gold. You have now stepped through the first gate, not of abstract philosophy, not of forgotten ritual, but of something deeper. Living alchemy. This is not a system to master, but a way of seeing. It is a new lens, or perhaps the oldest lens, that reveals meaning in discomfort, direction in pain, and power in silence. The Stoics and the alchemists knew what we've nearly forgotten, that the universe is not something to conquer, but to attune to, and that our emotions, our failures, our wounds, they are not flaws to fix. They are raw ingredients waiting for the flame of awareness. Remember, every irritation is an invitation to refine your patience. Every failure is a chance to extract courage. Every fear is a doorway to stillness. This is not easy work, but it is real work. It is the sacred labor of turning soul lead into spiritual gold, not once, but again and again, in the crucible of life. You don't need robes, or temples, or arcane symbols. Just a willingness to observe yourself, to pause where others react, to choose clarity over chaos, even once a day. That is alchemy. That is what it means to become the philosopher's stone, not to hold it, but to embody it. Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. Marcus Aurelius. And so now, the question is no longer, what is Stoic alchemy? The question is, what will you do with it? Will you let this be inspiration, alone, or will you ignite the fire? If this light stirred something in you, speak it, share it, reflect it, and remember, the fire you tend in yourself becomes a light for others. If this journey moved you, let it continue. Like, share, leave your thoughts below, not as comments, but as offerings to the fire, and until next time, walk with stillness, burn with purpose, and keep refining. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.